The cold in Colorado in December isn't just weather. It's a physical substance that seeps through the steel of the cab and layers of your insulated suit. Liam felt it every time, a quiet, persistent drilling in his bones. His world, from 3 a.m. till dawn, was a narrow strip of light from the boss's headlights, the roar of the engine, the white blizzard spewing from the plow's chute, and the absolute tomb-like silence beyond that noise. He knew every bump on Route 14, every turnoff through Redmond, every lone mailbox buried in snow. He noticed the first track a week ago on Pinecrest, a clear, bare imprint of a right foot the size of his palm on freshly plowed asphalt. Then a left, and so on across the entire road, a neat chain from the darkness of the woods into the darkness of the woods. He stopped the boss, got out. The air seared his lungs. The prints were perfect, like casts, with every line, every curve of the toes. Deep, as if someone had walked slowly with an impossible weight. But there was no snow dust around the edges, no hint of melting. The borders were sharp, laser cut. And the main thing, they just stopped at the tree line. No approach through the snowdrifts, no exit. As if someone had stepped from one point of emptiness to another, leaving only these 5 steps on the road as proof of their crossing.
The next night, the tracks were on Main Street. The same. The chain now led from the spruce alley at the town entrance straight toward the sleeping town. They ended 20 meters from the first house, Old Man Henderson's log cottage. Liam called the sheriff. He, raspy from sleep deprivation, said it was probably a drunk tourist or some idiot's prank. Take a picture if you see it again. Liam started taking pictures, and then checking the dash cam. The camera faced forward at the road. He'd position the truck, clear a section, leaving a black, wet strip of asphalt behind. The recording showed snow falling in the headlights, the plow blade pushing it. Then, clean asphalt for a few seconds, and then, without the slightest movement in the frame, the first dent would appear on the wet surface. Then the second. They manifested one after another with an even dead interval. And the sound. Liam cranked the volume to max. A quiet, wet slap came from the speakers, like wet meat dropped on stone. Slap. Pause. Slap. The sound wasn't from outside. It was inherent to the recording itself, as if born in the electronic circuits.
The rules began to change. The tracks now didn't just lead toward town, they ended right at front doors. Mrs. Claremont's house, the Rodriguez family's house. No one heard a knock, no one saw anyone. But in the morning, people found these prints on their porches, on the freshly swept snow. They pointed at the door, like a calling card. The town panicked. The sheriff started riding with Liam. They set bear traps. Insanity, they're hibernating. Installed cameras with motion sensors. Nothing. The cameras triggered on empty air, showing only a sudden ripple on the screen, and recording that same vile, wet sound. The sheriff, pale, said, "It's some kind of radio-electronic bullshit, interference." But his eyes held an animal fear. He suggested a toxic solution. Let's hang lights all over town, bright LED ones, light it up like daytime, and put up speakers with noise, white noise, music to drown out that. It seemed logical. Afraid of the dark and silence? We'll take away its dark and silence. The town was flooded with unnatural blue light. Lifeless instrumental music started blaring from speakers on poles. It didn't help. The tracks began appearing during the day, on sanded sidewalks. They were just there. And now there were more of them.
entire trails, all leading deeper into town.
Liam stopped sleeping. He sat by the window, smoked, watched the blue-lit street where a pathetic parody of Jingle Bells oozed from the speakers. He thought of his daughter, Ellie, 7 years old. She slept in her room with a star-shaped nightlight. He checked the locks 3 times, wedged a chair under the doorknob. Christmas Eve, Liam was clearing snow from Route 14. The wind had died. Snow fell in large, heavy flakes, swallowing all sound, even the roar of his truck. He finished the section at the fork where the dirt road led to his own house, half a mile away in a grove of bare aspens. He shone his headlights that way and froze. From the woods, across the field, across his own cleared driveway, right up to his porch, ran a clear, undeniable chain of tracks. Small ones, a child's. His heart dropped into a void. He left the boss right on the road, grabbed a heavy flashlight and ran. Snow slurped under his boots. His house loomed in the dark, solitary, with its lights off, except for a faint flicker in Ellie's window. He burst onto the porch. The tracks ended right in front of the door. Not on the porch, but before it, in the snow, as if whoever made them had simply evaporated. The door was locked. With trembling hand, he unlocked it, stormed into the hallway, shouting, "Ellie!" Silence. Hollow, terrible silence. The music from the street didn't reach here. He raced down the hall, flung open her door. The star-shaped nightlight cast warm yellow dots on the ceiling. Ellie was asleep, her nose buried in a stuffed reindeer. Her chest rose and fell evenly. Liam, panting, leaned against the doorframe. Idiot! Panicking. The tracks were outside. The door was locked. He took a step toward the bed to adjust her blanket, and his gaze fell on the windowsill. The sill was wooden, pale. On it, right by the glass, lay a dark, wet smudge. Its shape was indistinct. Liam, frozen, stepped closer. He aimed the flashlight. It was a footprint, a small, bare foot, but not from the outside. It was on the inside of the windowsill. The print was melting, water trickling down the wood in a thin stream. It was oriented with the toes facing into the room, as if someone had stood here inside, watching the girl sleeping, and then stepped or was taken away. Slowly, with a bone-grinding stiffness in his neck, Liam raised his head and looked out the window. Pressed against the glass in the pitch dark, face smushed against it, stood Ellie. The same reindeer pajamas, the same messy chestnut hair, the same features, but her skin was the color of bluish marble, covered in frost like a freezer window. Her eyes were open, staring not at him, but at the girl sleeping in the room. There was nothing in them, no thought, no malice, no life, only a flat mirror-like reflection. And around her bare feet in the snow, there were no tracks, no approach, no exit.
Liam screamed, soundlessly. The air got stuck somewhere in his throat, turning into an icy lump. He lunged at the bed, covered his daughter with his body, shielding her from the window. Then he turned, raised the flashlight to smash the glass, to get to that thing. The window was empty. Just a black square of night, falling snow and the distant blue glow of streetlights. No icy girl. Liam, breathing heavily, rushed to the window, peered out. No one. The snow beneath the window was untouched, fluffy. He jerked back, pressed his back against the wall, sliding down it until he sat on the floor. He didn't take his eyes off the sleeping Ellie. She whispered something in her sleep and smiled. And then, in the absolute silence of the room, where only her even breath and the frantic drumming of his own heart could be heard, he caught another sound, a faint, familiar one from the recordings. A quiet, wet slap. It didn't come from outside. It came from right inside the room, somewhere in the corner behind the armchair. Slap. Pause. Liam squeezed his eyes shut, pressed his palms to his ears. A hallucination, from exhaustion, from fear.
When he opened his eyes, his gaze fell on the windowsill again. The wet spot from the footprint had melted completely, spreading into a shapeless puddle. But right under the window, on his daughter's floor, on the pink flower-patterned rug, a small, wet, perfectly clear foot was imprinted. It faced into the depths of the room, toward the bed. And outside the window, in the dark, ghostly reflected in the glass, were two silhouettes. One, his own, sitting on the floor in a stupor, and beside him, almost touching his shoulder, sat a second silhouette, small, leaning forward, as if listening intently to the beating of his heart.